Hello, I am back for another video. So today I want to talk about decision making in business. I'll reiterate here that this is not me teaching any sort of lessons or giving advice or anything like that. It's just kind of reflecting on my own decision making. This is something that I have really been struggling with. When I talked about design in the first and the second video and how much I underestimated it, that was something that took about 4 weeks extra. Took about 4 weeks more than I needed it to take had I been able to make a decision sooner. So part of the decision-making process, a huge amount of it was ignorance. I was trying to decide on price, like not understanding what that typically costs. I was looking for the cheapest possible option, which took longer. I was looking for help in a mutually beneficial way from friends, and it just took longer to go through the whole process, kind of find out that I wasn't quite there yet in terms of the help I needed and in terms of what I was able to devote to the design process. And then I also, and this was the final decision, was I ended up going with the 99 Designs route in terms of getting a logo and everything like that. And I'll actually go through a screen share where I kind of show you what the options are for 99 Designs and why it was so confusing for me. I'm not advertising anything because I've had pretty good experiences with them in the past, but yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily supporting or not supporting. I think every business owner or business starter's decisions in terms of design, it's going to be unique for them. So I ended up going the 99 Designs route because it was along the cheaper side, but it wasn't like so cheap or free that I had to sacrifice on anything. Like I wasn't going the Fiverr route. If you go on Fiverr, you can find somebody to make you a logo for $5 or $35 or something like that. And you might get something that looks okay, or you might get something from Canva or from another one of those design, not design agencies, but like those websites where you can do free logo design, or they, you give them an idea of what color palettes you want and they just kind of pop something out and you can do that for free. I didn't want to go the free route because I wanted something where I could iterate on it and it would be reflective of my brand, and I could tell the designer, that's good, but let's add something here and things along those lines. So I started with the friend route, and that was challenging to just kind of figure out how we can make it a good situation for everyone around. They are also trying to start a business, and so it made it difficult because we're both in a position where we need to grow, and I'm not at the point where I can hire an entire design agency. And so it took a little while to figure that out. The free route, to me as someone who doesn't understand designs or design in general, every logo looks good. So it's hard for me to differentiate when something's of low quality or not. I might look at something that was developed for free and think it's incredible, or look at something that costs $30 and think it's amazing. And you might think, well, who cares? If you think it's amazing, maybe it's amazing. But then when somebody else looks at it, they realize, oh, this isn't what you were after if I had gone the Fiverr route or something like that. So it took about 2 to 3 weeks for a lot of specific things that happened and people's schedules aligning and all this other stuff to figure out which route I wanted to go. And like I said, the majority of that was just simply due to ignorance and kind of not understanding how the process went. And then another 2 weeks to get everything built out and the process iterated upon. And I was really stressed about it because I couldn't make the order that I needed to for my first inventory purchase until I had the design finalized. And once I had the design finalized, I had to create the logo. And there were a lot of back and forths with the supplier and with the designer when it came to the label as well. So I don't want to say I wasted. I learned a lot in that process, but it took about 4 weeks when, if I had just immediately gone this route, or if I had understood budgets, understood what this stuff costs, I could have said, hey, I'm going to go with $1,000 budget, and, I could have saved myself. I could have had it done a week after I came up with the idea for Monday morning. So knowing that, next time I'll be able to factor that into my budget a little bit more. And if the next project I have a lot more money to start with, I can say, hey, I'm going to go with a full-on design agency I'm going to work with people that I know and trust, and I know exactly how much I can allocate. So budget and just not understanding the industry created a lot of delay. But there was a lot of indecision as well. I can be indecisive. A lot of these decisions that I have to make with regard to the business are, what will the future impact be, and being afraid that it's not going to be perfect or not going to be what I wanted, not going to live up to my expectations, whatever the case may be. So I struggle with these decisions. I made it through the design process, pretty much finished today, which I'm really excited about. What I'm struggling with now is going the web development route. I feel like there are a lot of options I'm looking at, and they're on the cheaper end. I have about $1,000. I have one that's offering $400 for a template build, which honestly makes me a little concerned. I almost feel nervous that it's so cheap. But I'm seeing on the high end $3,000, $5,000. And it's an identity issue for me, where I think if I do end up spending this amount of money, the inventory costs more than I thought it was going to. Initially, I wanted to spend $500 on inventory. And then after talking with a lot of people, I'm like, okay, let me budget $3,000. I was going to spend $3,000 on inventory. I ended up spending about $5,000 on my first purchase. That was very overwhelming and scary. And so now, as I'm looking at the website development, I want to make sure I'm not one of those people that just tries to buy their way through problems. I know that I cannot build a site that looks good and converts, and I know where my skills are. I know that's not one of them. And more than that, I know that I just truly, truly hate the process of website design and development. It frustrates me to no end. And it's, of all the skills in the world, it's maybe the one skill that even if I had it, I wouldn't want it. I just truly do not enjoy the process at all. And even if I dedicated all of my time to it, it might take me 6 months or a year at the low end to learn the skills. But I just don't want to be one of those, almost like, I don't want to be spoiled. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be this person that just says, oh, I have this issue, let me just buy a solution to my problems rather than finding the solution. My gut is telling me to go with one of the options is $3,000, and that's really overwhelming, but I've seen their work. I know they can deliver a quality product. And that for me is, it's a big deal. I know that I should learn to trust my gut. And so that's a big thing that I've been working on. But for the moment, I'm trying to make a decision by the end of the weekend. For the moment, it's just something that I have to work on. Decision making, I want to make sure that I learn from my mistake during the design process. That mistake was not being able to make the right decision out of ignorance and having it take longer than it should, thereby pushing all of my delivery dates back. And, there are a lot of reasons why I have these deadlines. So it almost created problems for me. That's the mistake I want to avoid now. I don't want to waste another week or another 2 weeks trying to make the decision about the website. Instead, what I want to do is have a decision by the end of the weekend. I've already interviewed a couple of people, and then just say, Monday, let's get started. I already know it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks, which is longer than I wanted it to take. I wanted to have it done by the beginning of July when the product showed up. So, I want to make sure that I have a decision by the end of the weekend and I can move forward on it. In the next part of the video, I'm going to show you what I went through in the 99 design process in terms of, some of my hesitations and things like that, and then show you some of the developers that I'm looking at. So check it out. That's going to be right now. All right, so I'm going to walk you through some of the options I had for looking into website developers. I had posted a proposal to Upwork. Like I said, I didn't go the Fiverr route. It's a little bit cheaper. Posted a proposal to Upwork a couple months ago because I thought I was going to do 2 websites at once. So I didn't update it. So I probably could have added some more detail, but I got a bunch of responses. I've only been in touch with 2 people from Upwork, Cheryl and Bader. She has a whole agency, Cheryl, and she's in the 3 to 4K range, 4 to 6 week time frame. The main thing working against her, because they've done some really amazing websites, is that her account manager is really annoying and I don't want to have to deal with them. So I may not go with them for that reason and for price. Bader has been great. I've talked to him, met him over the phone a few times. he has some pretty good work. Like he's done this website, which I like. It's not close to what I want, which is kind of the issue I have with it, but it's a great website. And yeah, so he's about $1,000 for a custom site plus email marketing, which is definitely the lowest price range that I've seen so far, which is pretty incredible. I went through Shopify experts. I had a number of conversations. This is the main one that stuck out to me. They have a really high rating, 5 stars with over 4,000 reviews, over 5,000 jobs done. They've done a killer job. I'm looking at 3 grand here in 4 weeks, which is kind of rough, but it's what to expect. The $3,000 is really what gets to me. But like I said, I want to have a decision made by tomorrow or by Monday. What's great about them is, so initially I had looked at their, some of the websites that they had done, but they sent me a list specifically of websites in the domain that I'm in the industry, tea and coffee. And for example, they did Death Wish Coffee, which I'm very familiar with. And I think that this website looks great. They all do, really. They also did this Calamera Coffee. I love the website here. This looks excellent. So I have full confidence that they could deliver exactly what I want them to deliver. So that's what my gut's telling me, but obviously the price tag's a little bit high. With 99 Designs, I wasn't sure which route to go. So I had started with these categories, and you can go in. Most people know 99 is in, you can do a logo design for $300. You can do a t-shirt design for $200. But they have all these different sections, and you can also do combos. So logo and brand identity might be 600, logo and website might be 1,400. And so I called their customer support. They're really great. And they suggested that I just go straight to hiring a designer one-on-one. Their designers are also very talented, and you can find new ones by just selecting what you need, what industry you're in, whether they're online now, and you can find some really good options. Now, so for example, I actually spoke to this person. She did a great job. They're very expensive. When you're looking at one-on-one designers, you can have them run in like the 5,000 plus range, which is not what I was expecting when I was looking at a logo design contest for $300. The thing I want to emphasize here is I was quoted 5,000. I simply asked for 3,500, and he goes, okay. So if you do this method, I would even suggest coming to them with a price first, because that'll allow you to quote a little bit lower. I had another example of this guy was a great designer. He quoted me 35, and I asked for 2,750, and he said it was fine. What I ended up doing was running the design contest for $300. A lot of those end up looking pretty generic. But after about 250 designs, I found one that I really liked, and she was a top level designer. I asked her to do everything else that I needed, and I said I would pay the remainder of like $760, which was a total of about 1,000. I ended up spending a total of about 1,100, but she did all the work for me. This is some of the branding work. Looks incredible. I'm very excited. I'm excited for everyone to see. And so it worked out that way where I was able to pay on the lower end, but also get somebody who was able to complete the design the way I had envisioned it. So the thing that I would just recommend is make sure that, if you do get quoted a price, definitely try to negotiate that. I am probably going to go with the higher end website developers. Here is some riveting footage of me just sending a lot of emails, doing some work. A lot of this week was spent just making calls, having Zoom meetings with potential website developers, spending a lot of time Googling, looking at design portfolios and things like that. I also had to do a lot of back and forth between what the designer was finishing up and the suppliers putting all my packaging together. So overall, pretty uneventful, but did end up taking up quite a bit of time. I had to switch back and forth between meetings I was taking, and then at night, as soon as I finished work, I would just end up taking more meetings. So it was a pretty long week. It was a pretty busy week, but it wasn't a lot of busy work. So it did feel like to some degree, I was getting somewhere where I was able to get things moving in the right direction, have most of the pieces in play. a big part of this was decision making around how much I wanted to spend on certain things, and that's been a real challenge for me. Over the past few weeks, I've really been weighed down by the whole process of decision making and just emotionally exhausted over it. So this should be the last big decision. The financial component has also put a strain on me mentally, but this should be the last big decision that I really need to make. Everything else is just doing work, but in terms of who to go with and the developer, am I going to spend the money? That's really the last big thing. So things should start to pick up a little bit of speed this week. And I'm thinking about doing some more videos on how I keep myself kind of on track with things and habits and things like that. But we'll see. I'll update you on the progress over the next week. But thanks for tuning in, and comment below, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions or you're curious about what I'm doing, or if you have any advice for someone who's just getting in the game. Maybe you've been in it for a while. So thanks for watching if you have been, and wait for the next video.